चेंज करता हूँ। जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवर धारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी Namo Vishnupad Paramang Parivadikacharya Stotra Shashi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Antakoti Vaishnav Vrind Ki Jai Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Together, Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So we are reading from Canto 2, Chapter 10, entitled Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Text 37 to text 40. Please repeat behind me. Prajapatin Manun Devan Rishin Pitra Ganan Prithak Siddhacharana Gandharvan Vidyadhrasuraguhyakan Prajapatin Manundevan Rishin Pritra Ganan Prithak Siddhacharana Gandharvan Vidyadhrasuraguhyakan Rishin Pitra Ganan Prithak Siddhacharana Gandharvan Vidyadhrasuraguhyakan Prajapatin Marundevan Rishin Pitra Ganan Prithak Siddhacharana Gandharvan Vidyadhrasuraguhyakan Virmanundevan Pitra Ganan Prithak Siddhacharana Gandharvan Vidyadhrasuraguhyakan. Mothers. Prajapatim Marundevan Rishin Pitra Ganan Prithak Siddhacharana Gandharvan Vidyadhrasuraguhyakan. Prajapatin, Brahma and his sons like Daksha and others. Manun, the periodical heads like Vavasvat Manu. Devan, like Indra, Chandra and Varuna. Rishin, like Bhrigu and Vashishta. Pitraganan, the inhabitants of the Pita planets. Prithak, separately. Siddha, the inhabitants of Siddha planet. Charana, inhabitants of the Charan planets. Gandharvan, the inhabitants of the Gandharva planets. Vidyadhara, the inhabitants of Vidyadhar planet. Asura, the atheists. Guhyakan, the inhabitants of the Yaksha planet. So there are 3 more verses in this line. I'll read the translation and the purport. Translation includes more verses, more such inhabitants of different planets. Translation: O King, know from me that all living entities are created by the Supreme Lord according to their past deeds. This includes Brahma and his sons like Daksha, the periodical heads like Vavasvat Manu, the demigods like Indra, Chandra and Varuna, the great sages like Bhrigu, Vyas and Vashishta, the inhabitants of Pitraloka and Siddhaloka, the Charanas, Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, Asuras, Yakshas. So this translation is up to Yakshas, Guhyakan. It continues. Kinnaras and angels, the serpentines, the monkey-shaped Kimpurushas, the human beings, the inhabitants of Matraloka, the demons, Pishachas, ghosts, spirits, lunatics and evil spirits, the good and the evil stars, the goblins, the animals in the forest, the birds, the household animals, the reptiles, the mountains, the moving and the standing living entities, the living entities born from embryos, from eggs, from perspiration and from seeds, and all others, whether they be in the water, land or sky, in happiness, in distress or in mixed happiness and distress. All of them, according to their past deeds, are created by the Supreme Lord. Purport: the varieties of living entities are mentioned in this list, and with no exception from the topmost planet down to the lowest planet of the universe, All of them in different species of life are created by the Almighty Father Vishnu. Therefore, no one is independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord therefore claims all living entities as His offspring in the following verse. Sarvayonishu Kaunteya Murteha Sambhavanti Yaha Tasam Brahma Mahadyonir Aham Bija Pradapita. The material nature is compared to the mother. Although every living being is seen to come out of the mother's body, it is still a fact that mother is not the ultimate cause of such a birth. The father is the ultimate cause of birth. Without the father's seed, no mother can give birth to a child. Therefore, the living beings in different varieties of forms and positions within the innumerable universes are all born of the seeds of the Almighty Father, the Personality of Godhead. And only to the man with a poor fund of knowledge, they appear to be the born of the material nature. Being under the material energy of the Supreme Lord, all living entities, beginning from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, are manifested in different bodies according to their past deeds. The material nature is one of the energies of the Lord. The material nature is inferior in comparison to the living entities, the superior nature. The superior nature and the inferior nature of the Lord combine to manifest all universal affairs. Some of the living entities are relatively happy in better conditions of life, whereas others are in distressed conditions of life. But factually, none of them are actually happy in material condition life. No one can be happy in prison life, although one may be a first class prisoner and another a third class prisoner. The intelligent person should not try to be promoted from the third class prison life to first class prison life, but should try to be released from the prison altogether. One may be promoted to be a first class prisoner, but the same first class prisoner is again degraded to a third class prisoner in the next term. One should try to be free from the prison life and go back home, back to Godhead. That is the real goal of all types of living entities. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsha He Krishna Garuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhe Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So, here in this is the last chapter of the second canto, and Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. So, I'll just speak briefly about the chapter title. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions, and then come to the verse. In the beginning of Bhagavatam, the sages at Naimisharanya, they asked 6 questions. And Sut Goswami, he answered those 6 questions in the first 3 chapters. At the end of the 3rd chapter, he says, now to give a detailed reply to the 6 questions, I'll speak Srimad Bhagavatam. For Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Right? So the Sut Goswami says, Tatra kirtayato vipra viprasher bhuri tejasa aham cha adhyagamam tatra navishtas tadanugrahat soham va shravayishyami yatha dhitam yatha mati. So very beautiful verse. He says, Tatra kirtayato vipra, this Bhagavatam which I am going to now speak to you as a detailed answer to your questions. Tatra kirtayato vipra. This was spoken by my spiritual master, the great powerful Brahmana, Viprasher Bhuri Tejasa. He was greatly powerful. He had the entire Bhagavatam within his command. Aham chadhyagamam tatra. I heard the Srimad Bhagavatam from him. Or adhyagamam would mean I studied Bhagavatam under him. Nivishtas tadanugrahat. This is a very beautiful line. I could study Srimad Bhagavatam in being absorbed and in absorbed fashion, which is very difficult. Even when we pick up some book to read, even when we start to listen something, the attention span is not more than 1 minute. Therefore, all the videos are less than 1 minute. Right? So every minute we are distracted, practically. Like the Padam Padam Yad Vibdam. So it's like, every minute there is a distraction, kind of in the parallel line. But here in Sut Goswami says, by the mercy of my spiritual master, Nivishtas Tadanugrahat, I studied Bhagavatam being absorbed in Bhagavatam. It's actually a great opulence. To be absorbed, to be able to study Prabhupada books, to be able to hear, chant, glorify the Lord, and to be absorbed in it, even for some time. It's a big opulence which is becoming so rare. And he says, I could absorb myself in Bhagavatam tadanugrahat, by the mercy of my spiritual master. Therefore, we need a lot of mercy and blessings to be able to absorb ourselves in Krishna consciousness or in any of the activities of Krishna consciousness. Soham va shravayishyami. So I received that great fortune by the mercy of spiritual master to be able to study Bhagavatam in an absorbed way. Now I will speak that Bhagavatam to you. Aham chadhyagamam soham va shravayishyami yatha dhitam yatha mati. Now my spiritual master was greatly powerful. He had Bhagavatam within his reach, the full Bhagavatam. But whatever I could assimilate, yatha dhitam yatha mati, I am limited. So therefore, but whatever I could assimilate by his mercy, I will speak that to you. So this is also very wonderful. Rather than comparing ourselves, sometimes we may compare ourselves, I cannot speak so good Bhagavatam, I cannot present scriptures, or I cannot execute bhakti in this way. We may compare ourselves to others, but no, there's no need. Yatha dhitam yatha mati. Whatever capacity we have, we will glorify the Lord. We'll try to study and try to teach. And that will make our life perfect. That will bring complete fulfillment to us. So therefore, yatha dhitam yatha mati. I'll speak as per my limited capacity, the Srimad Bhagavatam. So he said Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Then, so this is in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, where the questions are asked and the speaker says Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. The next set of questions are asked by Shukadeva Goswami, to Shukadeva Goswami by Parikshit. So he asked next set of questions when he was cursed. Then he asked broadly two more questions. What is the duty of a person in journal and what is the duty of a person about to die? And what should be heard? Yashrottavyam atho japyam yat kartavyam narabhi prabhu smaranam bhajaniyam va bruhi tad va viparrayam. Please tell me what is to be heard, yashrottavyam, what should be chanted, what should be remembered, and who should be worshipped. And viparrayam, just the opposite of that. And Shukadeva Goswami answers that question. And then Shukdev and Parikshit asked further questions. So in 2.8, in Canto 2, Chapter 8, the whole chapter is entitled Question by Parikshit. The whole chapter is nothing but questions. It's a question bank. The whole chapter is questions. So hearing so many questions, Shukdev Goswami says, now I'll speak Bhagavatam to you. So he also says, the answer to your all question is Srimad Bhagavatam. And this Srimad Bhagavatam was revealed by Lord Narayan to my father, not exactly to my father. Shukdev Goswami says, yes, so to his father's in the disciplic succession. So this Bhagavatam was revealed by Lord Narayan to Brahma in the form of 4 verses. So 2.8, chapter 2.8 is just the question bank, and the answer to all those questions is Srimad Bhagavatam. Answer to all the questions is Srimad Bhagavatam. So Shukdev Goswami said this Srimad Bhagavatam, then he gives the reference, was in the form of 4 verses, was revealed to Lord Brahma. Then Lord Brahma spoke this to Narada, he elaborated it, and Narada further instructed it to my father Vyasadeva. And therefore Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. And similarly, Vidura asks several questions to Maitreya. Another one chapter, 2.5, is filled with so many questions. And Maitreya also says, now I will speak Srimad Bhagavatam to you. You may say, already 3rd canto. Has the Bhagavatam not started? So Bhagavatam starts with 1.1.1, but still, different speakers are saying, no, answer to your question is Srimad Bhagavatam. Answer to your question is Bhagavatam. So this chapter is entitled, Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. So in response to the questions of the sages, in response to the question of Parikshit, in response to the question of Vidura, the Bhagavatam is spoken. And in response to question of Narada, right? Lord Brahma says, now, Lord Narayan revealed the Bhagavatam to me. So the Bhagavatam, which contains 10 topics, is the answer to your questions. So therefore, Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. So this is introduction to the chapter which we are studying. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Now coming back to this verse, this particular verse, now one of the questions is about Sarga and Visarga. The creation of the Lord, the secondary creation by Lord Brahma, the primary and the secondary creation, Sarga Visarga. Now someone may say, and the Sarga Visarga, especially in Canto 2 and 3, is quite repetitive. Again and again it is explained, the Sarga Visarga. 5 times there is a description of universal form of the Lord. I say, why there is need of so much of Sarga and Visarga? Right? So, because this Sarga and Visarga is the pastime of the Lord, external energy. We cannot really appreciate internal energy unless we appreciate the greatness of external energy and unless we become free from the grip of external energy. Both the things. Therefore, it is said that one should discuss about Maya to be freed from Maya. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur used to say, and he used to repeatedly discuss, he said the illusory energy has millions of innovative ways to trap the living entities. And she is constantly innovating. Just like you say that unless one is innovative, one goes out of business. Okay? So unless the material energy is innovative, she will go out of business. So therefore material energy continuously innovates so many ways and means to trap the living entities in this material nature. And therefore Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, quoting the verse from Bhagavatam, Maya Vanneto Mushya, that one should discuss about Maya, one should read about the Maya, external energy, its creation, to be freed from Maya. To be freed from Maya. So therefore the pastimes of creation, to appreciate the Lord's greatness and also to free oneself from the clutches of external energy are discussed repeatedly. So one of the questions is Sarga and Visarga, and that is being answered over here in this place. Partly, the Sarga Visarga will continue. Why? In the third canto, because after Shukadeva Goswami kind of completes one section of Sarga and Visarga, the sages sitting in Naimisharanya, they say, this Sarga Visarga is good to be discussed, but we need some break from the Sarga Visarga. Because this topic tends to be dry in general. So they are important, but a little bit, sometimes we also can feel at times this topic tends to be a bit dry. So they said, well, you talked about Vidura in 13th chapter of the first canto, that Vidura returned back. So thoda wo katha bata dijiye beech mein. Then you continue Sarga Visarga. So there should be some change, variety to maintain interest. So the sages, they requested, before the Sarga and Visarga is completed, the sages requested, and it's mentioned that was also the desire of Parikshit. So all the hearers and speakers are in sync. So the sages requested for a change of topic to Vidura from Sarga Visarga. And the Parikshit also desired to hear about Vidura's pilgrimage, which is given a reference in the 13th chapter of the first canto, how he returned back to deliver Dhritarashtra. So therefore, after this Sarga and Visarga, brief discussion in this 10th chapter, the next canto, 3.1, begins with the discussion about Vidura and Maitreya, how Vidura came to meet the sage Maitreya. So this Sarga Visarga is being described briefly over here, and it will continue. The discussion is not yet complete. So here this verse describes Lord Brahma. This verse is describing, O king, know from me that all living entities are created by the Supreme Lord according to their past deeds. And the verse gives so many varieties of living entities. As mentioned, the various devatas, the manus, the sages, the inhabitants of Pitraloka, Siddhaloka, Charanloka, Gandharvaloka, Vidyadharloka, and so on and so forth. They all are created by the Supreme Lord. So Supreme Lord is the ultimate creator, but Visarga is done by Brahma. So in the immediate sense, it's the creation of Brahma, but in the ultimate sense, it is the creation of the Supreme Lord. So all these various forms of the living entities, various bodies of the living entities, are compared in the Bhagavatam to different residential apartments. We can relate in Mumbai. So all these bodies are different residential apartments. And the living entity is the one who wants to rent out or purchase this apartment. Living entity is the inhabitant of this apartment. And it said that the living entity has tried many, many apartments, but he hasn't found the apartment just suitable to his need. So some apartment is in the city center, but it's very small and costly. But then the living entity moves to a more spacious apartment in a greener surrounding, but that's too far. Commuting time is too much. So therefore, it is wherever you move to, whichever apartment, the living entity hasn't found apartment just suitable to his or her needs. So that is described in the Bhagavatam. So none of these bodies mentioned in this verse actually are able to satisfy the living entity. And Prabhupada is comparing these apartments, all these apartments, because every apartment has some constraint. So the living entity can't have, the full freedom, the full expression of one's desire in any apartment, because there are some of the other constraints. As we know, always there are some constraints. In every situation has some constraints. And that's the nature of this world. So Prabhupada gives another example that all these apartments in this world are different cells in a prison. Different cells in a prison. So a third class or a first class Like there are prison cells where there is high-speed internet, Wi-Fi available, right? You can surf all the internet and watch the movies and so many things. So prisons with high-speed Wi-Fi, wireless, optical fiber cables and everything. Those are first-class prisons with all the amenities. There are many more amenities. Not going into the detailed description. And there are third-class prisons where the facilities are minimal, and there are even dark cells where a person is chained. Those are very deadly criminals. Their freedom is very restricted. So Prabhupada is saying that even though there may be greater facilities, but within a prison, the living entity cannot have full expression of one's freedom. So therefore, the living entity won't be satisfied. One should get out of the prison. There are many prisoners in US who want to stay in the prison, and that's a big problem for the government. The big overhead, big expense, because the outside world has become worse than the prison. Right? Outside world is more intolerable than the prison. So in prison, even the medium, not the third class, but the second class, mediocre. And American prisons, because of human rights and all that, they have good facilities. In general, for all prisoners, Wi-Fi is free. Right? So this is not first-class prison. In America, in general, prison, the Wi-Fi is free. So therefore, it's a basic human right. Everyone should have Wi-Fi. That's not a luxury or something. So that's a big thing. I mean, the big overhead on the government, because people, they want to come back to the prison again and again. There's a big title, I love prison. There was a big news article, I love prison. So what do you do with such prisoners? Right? It's a big headache. So any sane person, therefore we have to qualify. The many analogies given by Prabhupada needs to be a little bit qualified, refined, because if people say that get out of the prison, many people say, what is the need? Prabhupada is here, get out of the prison, he is saying in the purport. There are many people, not one or two. There will be thousands and lakhs of people who would want to be in the prison, and they are happy in the prison than outside. So therefore, any sane person, any normal person would understand that all the different prison cells, there are certain constraints. One doesn't have full freedom. And therefore, a normal person, a sane person should try to get out of the prison and not settle within the prison, not settle in any of the apartment within this material world. So, Lord Brahma has created all the various apartments, the various bodies of the living entities as being described here. And what is the criteria for allocation of the apartments? Just like, your strength to buy your wealth, you can buy a first-class apartment anywhere in the city if you can pay for it. And what is the criteria for allocation of these apartments as described in the various bodily forms? That is described in Bhagavad Gita. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajante yanta kalevaram tam tam eveti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavita. So one's consciousness at the time of leaving the body awards the next apartment, one's consciousness. So as per the consciousness, one gets a particular life form. As per the consciousness, one also gets a particular amount of responsibility. So you see, the facility and the responsibility are correlated. Different life forms have different kind of facility. The greater the facility, the greater is also the responsibility, and the greater is the freedom also. So they are correlated. So basically, all the various life forms, all the various bodies, from small insect all the way to Lord Brahma, one attains those life forms depending upon one's consciousness, and in each consciousness there is a different kind of facility, a different kind of freedom. So the higher the apartment, there are greater amenities, as we know, the greater facilities, but also there is a greater responsibility. So the journey of the living entity in this material world basically is all about evolution of consciousness. Just like people in this world say, my journey from rag to riches. Rag to riches. So the journey of the living entity is the journey of the consciousness, the evolution of consciousness. And the highest consciousness in this evolution is Krishna consciousness. So when one is fully Krishna conscious, then one get the apartment which is just satisfying one's needs. And that is Satchidananda apartment. And you can Google, where can you find the Satchidananda apartment? You will find many, many references. So, and this Satchidananda apartment, one can live forever. Right? Sat, one can live forever. You may say it may be boring if one lives forever in one apartment. One should change. But this apartment, though one can live forever, they are ever new. That's the nature. So one will not be bored by that. It is full of knowledge. That means high-speed internet, 24/7, where one can stay connected with Lord Krishna and his eternal associate. One can be tuned in. One can be connected to the spiritual world, always. And Anand means place where there are ever-increasing amenities. Like in this world, people promise some amenities, especially builders, but then they don't provide that much. But here, this Satchidananda apartments have ever-increasing amenities. That means ever-increasing happiness, ever-increasing joy of devotional service, ever-increasing opportunities and facilities to render devotional service. Those are the amenities available in the Satchidanand Dehe, the Lord's abode. So it is described that just like now Lord Brahma is able to create because he is empowered by Lord Krishna. Similarly, it's described that just like Lord Krishna empowered Lord Brahma to create all these various bodily forms, to create all these apartments, so that the living entity can have a chance of expression. They can express their consciousness. Similarly, the same Lord empowered Rupa and Sanatan so that the living entity can perfect their consciousness. Okay, so the Lord empowered Brahma so the living entity can express their consciousness, and he empowered Rupa and Sanatan so the living entities can perfect their consciousness and evolve their consciousness all the way up to Krishna consciousness. This is described in one beautiful verse in CC. Vrindavaniyam rasakeli vartam kalena luptam nija shakti muktaha sancharya rupe vitanot punahasa prabhur vido prag iva lokashashtim. So, in due course of time, the mellows of Vrindavan, the loving pastimes of Vrindavan, the glories of Vrindavan were covered over. Kalena luptam. And the Lord wanted to reveal that to everyone. Sancharya rupe vetanot punahasa. So Lord empowered Rupa Goswami, and another verse says, Tatraiva rupam cha sanatanam cha. He empowered Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. Prabhur vidho is Lord Brahma. Just like he empowered Brahma previously to create. Similarly, he empowered Rupa and Sanatan to fulfill the purpose of creation, which is that the living entities can evolve their consciousness to the highest consciousness, which is Krishna consciousness or Vrindavan consciousness. Right? Because Dham Vrindavan is not different from Lord Krishna. Aradayo Bhagavan Rajeshatanaya Tad Dham Vrindavanam. Now, this evolution of the living entity's consciousness as the Lord empowered Rupa Goswami, not just the Lord empowered Rupa Goswami, he instructed Rupa Goswami also in the 19th chapter Madhya Leela how a living entity can evolve one's consciousness. So this is given in Rupa Shiksha. And he empowered him and also instructed him. So briefly we will discuss about how we can evolve our consciousness and reach the stage of Krishna consciousness, which is the highest perfect consciousness for any living entity. So Lord Chaitanya himself is teaching to Rupa Goswami, Eita Brahmanda Bhari Ananta Jivagan Chorasi Laksha Yone Ite Karena Brahman. So in this Brahman, there are Ananta Jivagan, unlimited living entities. And they all are trying to find a suitable apartment. And there are 84 lakh varieties of apartments. And none of them are suitable. Just imagine, 84 lakh types. It's like studio apartment, 1 BHK, 2 BHK, 2.5, 3, 3.5. How many varieties? Or luxury apartment, economy apartment, whatever. So there are 84 lakh varieties of apartment, and the living entity is trying to find the suitable apartment but remains dissatisfied. Taramadya stavara jangama dui bhed. It's described that then there are further divisions among the 84 lakh species. There are sthavar and jangam, moving and non-moving living entities. And within that also, those who move in the sky, those who stay on the earth, and those who move in water, further division. So among all the living entities, Taramadhya Manushya Jati Ati Alpatar, the human form, the apartment where one gets the human form, that is very rare. Out of 84 lakh, only there are 4 lakh human species. Again, how you may say 4 lakh human species, for us that is also a big number. 4 lakh human species. That's not a small number. So that is also, the division is as per the evolution of one's consciousness. Like Kreet, Hunandar, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Abhir, Shambha, Yavana, Kasadaya. So there are so many, Bhagavatam mentions, give you a brief list of different living entities who have different levels of consciousness, among the humans also. So among all the living entities, the human have the most developed consciousness, but among the human beings, there is a gradation of 4 lakh, right? 4 lakh types of consciousness, and therefore 4 lakh human species, and which is the rarest species that has been described. So, Tar Madhya Manushya Jati Ati Alpatar, Tar Madhya Malechya Pulinda Bodha Shabar. So just again, as per the consciousness, there are Malechas, Pulindas, Bodha, Shabaras, and so on and so forth. Different living entities. So, unlimited living entities, humans are rare. But among humans, the civilized human beings are rarer. The civilized human beings are rarer. So it's mentioned, Vedanishta Madhyardeka Veda Mukhe Mani. So those who are civilized, most of them are uncivilized among the humans. Those who are civilized are rare. But those who are civilized, who are civilized? Those who accept regulation in life. So that means unregulated life is considered uncivilized. Life of unregulated enjoyment is uncivilized life. Those who accept some kind of regulation in human form, they are civilized. And Vedas regulate basically. So those who accept Vedic regulation in the context of follow the Vedas, they are civilized. Now, so civilized humans are rare, and Lord Chaitanya continues. He said, those who claim themselves to be followers of the Vedas, or those who claim themselves to be civilized humans, most of them are hypocrites. They are not actually civilized. Most of them are hypocrites. They do not follow the Vedas. They are only so-called followers of the Vedas. Vedanishta madhya ardeka veda mukhe mani. They are Vedanist. They say we are followers of the Vedas, but only they speak. They are Ved Mukha. They are not actually Vedanist. Vedanishida papa kare dharma nahi gani. And they act against the Vedas in so many ways. They act against the Vedas, therefore they are so-called followers of Vedas. Thus, those who claim to be civilized, most of them are hypocrites. And we see there amongst the, those who are religionists, followers of the Vedas, and so on and so forth. Sanatani is the word he used. Many times we see a lot of hypocrisy, and therefore people are put off. They don't want to associate themselves with any of this. So Lord Chaitanya himself says, he himself brings out that point, that most people are so-called, most people are hypocrites. And amongst those who are now true followers of the Vedas, that means human life is rare, civilized are rare, those who actually civilize are even rarer. Those who are actually civilized, those who follow the Vedas, they follow the Vedas for the most ulterior purpose. That means they do not really know the purpose of Vedas. So they follow the Vedas, but they do not know the deeper purpose of the Vedas. They only superficially follow the Vedas. That means they are karmanist. Dharmachari madhye bahut karmanist. Most of them are only concerned with immediate benefit of the Vedas and do not know the deeper purpose of the Vedas. Those are actually followers of the Vedas, those are actually civilized. Most of the people are short-sighted. Or most of the people are only concerned with immediate benefit and they do not know what the Vedas want to actually give. Therefore, Dharmachari madhye bahut karmanist. They just want to perform some rituals, some dharma karma, and get immediate benefit. Koti karmanishta madhye ek jnani shresht. Among millions of such karmanishtas, those who want immediate benefit, ek jnani shresht. There could be one person who understands that material enjoyment is not the goal of the Vedas. Material enjoyment, material comforts is not the goal of religion. Parabhavastavad jato yavat na jigyasid atma tattvam. So basically anyone who is concerned only with immediate enjoyment, parabhavas, that person will be defeated. So one who doesn't inquire into the deeper purpose of the Vedas, that person will be ultimately defeated. Parabhavastavad jato. So most people are concerned only with immediate benefit. One rare soul comes to the deeper understanding of the Vedas, which comes to the understanding that material enjoyment is not the goal. Then what is the goal? That person ascertains spiritual salvation to be the goal. Spiritual salvation to be the goal. At least they have gone somewhat deeper. That understand the fallacy of material enjoyment and strives for spiritual salvation. That is considered a jnani. But amongst koti jnani madhye hai ek jana mukt. Such a rare soul, just imagine. Among all the millions of life forms, human life, civilized, actually civilized, and those who are actually civilized who are mostly concerned about immediate benefit, those who go beyond the immediate benefit, so rare. Amongst such a rare soul, who is a jnani, koti jnani madhye hai ek jan mukt. Among millions of jnanis, one attains the goal. You may say, baap re, ye kya goal hai? Such rare, if the success rate is so low, among millions, one attains the goal. Then why to take this path? Who will strive for this path? Among millions, success rate is 1. Among koti, one actually attains spiritual salvation. Among millions of those who try for spiritual salvation. So what is the reason for that? They take the wrong path. They take the wrong process for spiritual salvation. So they come to know that yes, spiritual salvation is the goal, but they take the wrong path, which is described in Bhagavad Gita as klesho dhiktaraste sham avyakt asakta chetasam. So the cultivation of impersonal Brahman realization, the impersonal Gyan, that is klesho dhiktaraste sham. And what Brahma also described, Shreya shritam bhakti mudasyate vibho klishyanti ye kevala bodha labdaye. So those who give up the all auspicious path of bhakti, Shreya shritam bhakti mudasyate vibho klishyanti ye kevala bodha labdaye. They only attain klesha. You may say anything else. Klishyanti ye kevala eva shishyate. He said nothing else. And the Lord Brahma says, example is, if you beat a husk, paddy has been taken out. You beat a husk, what comes out? No rice. You say, not have sufficiently not tried. Try more, what comes out? Nothing. I have not tried from this angle, from this perspective, from that perspective. From whichever angle you beat, whichever instrument you take, nothing is going to come out. You keep beating the husk. Therefore, what is coming out is only hard labor. What is the gain? Only hard labor. Only hard labor. So therefore Lord Brahma says, those who take this process of jnana, they only attain hard labor. The koti jnani madhye ek jan mukt. Ek jan mukt. So in this way, those who understand the inner, deeper purpose of the Vedas, which is spiritual salvation, and take to the jnana, they don't attain the goal. They don't attain the goal. And thus, millions among them, one among such million jnanis comes to understand that bhakti is the right process. Okay? So just see how rare it is that someone comes to the path of bhakti. How rare it is. And therefore, this whole analysis is given for us to understand that we have somehow got this rare opportunity. It's not that it's our effort, by our effort we have got, or by our qualification. It is just a causeless mercy, of Lord Chaitanya and his pure devotees, that we have got this rare opportunity, and therefore we have the responsibility to value it. There is a beautiful verse which was one of the favorite verse of Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur. Labdva sudurlamamidam bahu sambhavante manushyam arthadam nityam apiha dhira turnam yatetana patedanu mrityu yavan nishreshashaya vishaya khalu sarvata syat. So this verse says, one who has attained Labdva sudurlamamidam bahu sambhavante, this rare human form of birth, and much, much more rarer the opportunity to be Krishna conscious, take the path of bhakti. Labdva sudurlamabidam bahu sambhavante manushyam arthadam anityam apiha dhira turnam yatetana patedanu mrityu yavan. One should strive for spiritual perfection. One should strive to cultivate Krishna consciousness with a sense of urgency. There should be a sense of urgency that time is passing away. Just like there is a story of Lala Babu in Vrindavan. He came on a pilgrim, pious sightseeing, pious tour to Vrindavan. He was just visiting, and a lady is telling her daughter, she said, come fast, the sun is setting, we have to go far. Time is short. Come fast, hurry up. Right? So she was stressing that there is the urgency, the sun is setting, it's going to be dark, and we need to go far. So therefore, come fast. So when he heard that, he realized the sun of my life is setting soon, and we have to go far. The spiritual perfection is far away. Therefore, I have to hurry up. I cannot waste time. So that brought a sense of urgency, those words. So therefore, Bhagavatam, this verse, Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, it's mentioned, he wrote it on a big paper and put it on the wall. Labdva sudurlamamidam bahu sambhavante, because this verse says Turnam yatet. Turnam means endeavor with a sense of urgency. Turnam yatet. Na patedanu mrityu yavan, because this rare opportunity of human form can be lost at any point of time. Na patedanu mrityu yavan, the body will fall flat at any point of time. Turnam yatet na patedanu mrityu yavan nishreyashaya vishaya khalu sarvata syat. As far as, trying various pleasures of this world, we have tried all the amenities in so many apartments. We have already tried that all out, and that has not satisfied us. In this particular apartment, the human form of the life, let there be sense of urgency to strive for spiritual perfection, to evolve our consciousness to the highest stage, which is Krishna consciousness. And then we can attain that Sachidanand apartment, Lord Brahma is creating various apartments. This apartment is beyond his creation, is eternal, is the abode of the Lord, and we can attain that destination. And just like, if one wants to have some luxury apartment, some in a very elite area, one has to pay a high price. So the price to attain this apartment is the price of consciousness, as we discussed. Price of consciousness. That means a person who has Krishna consciousness is actually a rich person. So we should consider the real wealth, the real richness is the richness of one's consciousness. Richness of one's consciousness. So therefore Krishna consciousness is the highest wealth. The highest wealth. And Krishna conscious person is the wealthiest person. And only such a wealthiest person can qualify or can afford to reside in this Satchit Anand apartment as provided by Lord Shri Krishna himself. Hare Krishna. So thank you very much. Jai Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. We have 2 minutes if one has any question or comment or concern. You may speak out. Okay, so you are meditating on that apartment. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.